Hey guys, so today we're going to take a look at the present participle, the participe présent in French. And this is a bit of a tricky verb tense. I don't think they're all tricky. Every time I do this, I'm like, this one's tricky. It's a bit of a tricky verb tense because in English we feel really comfortable with it. And we just want to put it in French for everything that we say in the present tense. So let me, even actually before I start this, let me show you something that's really tricky. Sometimes we don't even know that we're doing this in English. Let's say, let's use the verb aller in French. This is the verb to go. So if I say in French, je vais, what I'm saying, let me just write this down so you can see, is we have three options. We have I go, we have I do go, and I am going. And it's actually really funny how mind-blowing this is for so many people that have never really thought about English if that is their first language, because when we see in English, let's say I've got the idea, I'm like I go, then for some reason je vais, it works because I guess one word here, one word here, one word here, one word here, like the numbers match up, and that works. But when people say I am going, what I often see is they'll say like je suis allé, because we want an equivalent for everything we do. This is just how our minds work. We say, okay, I is je, am is suis, which normally it is, like I am is je suis. But the minute we have going, they're like, oh no, get rid of suis, because one of the translations of je vais is I am going. So so for us right away, it's already a problem, because we want to put the verb être, we want to put the verb to be in front of so many verbs in French that they just don't do that, because it's implied in the verb that they're using. So we're kind of set up for failure because mainly just the numbers, they're off. And in French they have one way of saying things, and in English we have the three. There is another expression, let me just show you because this kind of helps, but I'm not really going to get into this. En train de, this is like in the middle of doing. This is like a really handy little expression. So if you wanted to say like I am going, this idea, we would just say je vais. But if you really wanted to emphasize, like, no, I'm right in the middle of going, it's happening right now, then you could say, like, je suis en train d'aller, and that would work, like, I'm right in the middle of going. But that's a lot of French. That's a little bit excessive. We don't need that much stuff. So let me show you. This is the point. This is the passé, or the participe présent, the present participle. Generally, we only use it when, and I'm really simplifying things here, because once you get the basis of this, then you can kind of read up more on your own. But this is kind of the basis. If you're not using these three words, following it by a word ending in ing, don't use it as just a general basic guide. There's more complex things to it, but this is, if you stick with this, generally you should be pretty good. So let's say while cooking, I listen to music. But we wouldn't just have a sentence on your own where you're like, while cooking. Your friend is gonna be like, what? While cooking what? Think of it like that. It's not like if you're in your mind, you're like, I am cooking, and you want to use the present participle. You can't do that by saying like, je suis cuisinant. Like that doesn't work. No, you have to have like by cooking, while cooking, when cooking. No. Like there's generally going to be something else to your sentence. So it does not work on its own just to have like using the present participle. Let me actually just go right to the present participle to show you. Let's say, for example, I'm using the verb parler, to speak. If I said je suis parlant, let me come back here. Je suis P-A-R-L-A-N-T. This here is what we call the present participle. And in our English minds, this works. In our English minds, this looks really good. I am speaking. Word by word. That's what it looks like for us. The problem is that this is not grammatically correct. Number one, we can't have être in front of a verb in like the present form. That doesn't work. Like you might see être in other verb tenses. I'm not even right. You're going to see other être in front of other verbs in different verb tenses, not in the present tense. It's just, we don't do that. So then you're like, je parle. Well, that doesn't work because then it's like, I speaking. Well, grammatically, even in English, that doesn't work. So you're going to take this idea, oh, that doesn't work. So if I were to say, en parlant, I don't know, je mange. Now we have something that works. You're saying, while speaking, I eat. Or, je mange en parlant. I eat while speaking. I eat when speaking. This is the whole idea of the participe présent. So again, my big tip for you guys is, and I haven't even shown you how to make the participe présent, but this is the whole concept, is that it's basically the idea of ing in the present tense, but in combination with by, while, or when. So again, if you want to think like I am walking, if you're not using these three words, then you should just be using the present tense. You are not using the present participle. They're different verb tenses. They're different things. So I hope that makes sense. If not, I can't help you. So let me just read this out. So the formation of for the French present participle is very simple. For regular and all but three irregular verbs, the French participle is formed by dropping the ONS in the new form of the present verb and putting on ANT. So sometimes when you read a rule, it's like, what? What was that? So, oh no. Oh, okay. So let's say we have the verb danser. This is a nice, easy verb. So what they say is that you take off, and this is actually kind of tricky because in order to actually accomplish this, you have to first put it in the present tense, and then you can put it in the present participle. So they say conjugate it in the new form. So even before we can get to the present participle, you have to remember your present tense, which you might be thinking like, this is a lot of work. Yes, it is, but that's okay. It'll eventually feel fluid and normal and natural. So in the new form, so you're gonna have nous dansons, and the reason why they say put it in the new form is that typically, like, we take off the E and the R and then we put on ONS. So you're thinking, why don't I just take off the ER? And you're right, you'll be right like 95% of the time. But the other few percent of the time, you will be wrong, which is why they say put it in the new form, don't just take off the last two letters. So you put it in the new form, then we drop off the ONS. That already seems like a lot of work. So then you're basically left with nous DANS. This is the word we have. We get rid of new, because we just don't need it anymore, because you're not going to be like, we dancing. That's not what we want. We want just the idea of dancing. And then you put in the ending, which is, sorry, I should have written this in a different color. The ending is ANT. So now what we're left with is, let's see, never remembered English. Dancing. This is the present participle, is this idea right here, a verb with ing. But just on its own, dancing, like, you're going to stand there and be like, dansons. They're going to be like, what? What's dansons? It has to be used with something, right? So typically what we use it with is the word en. And we would generally translate en as, the slide I deleted, while, by, or occasionally when. So here's how this would work, because I could say like, en dansant, je m'amuse. While dancing, I have fun. Or by dancing, I have fun. Maybe if I took the verb, let me just show you another verb. Okay, let's use the verb chanter. This is a nice easy one. Okay, so again, remember, let's just order of operations here. We put it in the new form of the present tense. So nous chantons. We get rid of the ONS, get rid of the new. So then we're left with CHANT. Then we put on the ending, ANT, which you're going to kind of like a little bit, because this is the ending for every verb in the present participle. Doesn't matter if it's like Vandertramp or reflexive or irregular, regular. Every verb has this ending. And if you're a girl, you don't get an E. Everyone is the same and equal. Whether you're plural, it doesn't matter. It's all ANT. So it's actually quite nice. So now I have singing. That's the present participle right here, singing. But just on its own, it doesn't mean anything. We haven't really conveyed a whole lot. Just singing. So maybe I'm going to say, oh, this is an E. Calibration. En chantant. I don't know. While singing, en chantant. I don't know. Je dors. Maybe I sleep. I sleep while singing. Who cares? En chantant, je m'amuse. I have fun. En chantant, je m'amuse. Hopefully this kind of makes sense. The present participle is right here. En chantant is by singing, while singing. I have fun. So, can I just go back here and show you? This is roughly what some of these verbs look like when we take off the endings, put in our new endings, ANT. There are, again, a few exceptions. Like the one that comes to mind right now is être, because être in the new form is nous sommes. And so we don't have an ONS to drop off. So again, être is always messed up. So it's just a brand new word. It's et. So it's en étant. And then again, avoir is a tricky one too, because again, it's nous avons, but then for some reason, I don't know why, it would have been fine, because they could have said en avant, but then again, en avant would have been like, go ahead, go forward. They changed it to a Y, so instead of en avant, now it's en ayant. So there are a few exceptions, but generally speaking, unless, let me just show you this again, here's our big rule, where'd it go? Unless, just even to make this really clear, hopefully you guys can see there's no pronoun here, right? Like it's not like I am singing, we are singing. There's no pronoun. So it really is like while singing, by singing. When singing, it is best to da 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 da. Okay? So no pronoun. It's always just ANT for your ending. I hope that helps. You might just need to take a little bit more look at the exceptions, just practice a few examples, but that is the basic idea of the present participle. Good luck.